What's up, everyone? Welcome to the HASHR8 podcast. I am the Bitcoin Broski, and I'm joined today by a very special guest. Okay, so look, we featured miners from lots of places on this show. We've had miners from Venezuela. We've had miners from China. We've had miners from various parts of North America and Europe. And one of the places that we have not really had anyone on to discuss mining is the Middle East. And today we are joined by a gentleman who has experience mining in Kazakhstan, experience mining in the Middle East, and now he and his team are looking to establish a facility in Paraguay in South America. So I'm excited for this conversation today. Welcome to the show, Guillermo Ruiz Herniaz. Welcome to the show, Guillermo.
Thank you very much, Will. Thank you very much. You did perfect with my name.
All right, I'm gonna just call you Guillermo from here. That's like, if that's okay with
you.
Yeah,
yes. Even if you wanna go with G, that's fine with me. My foreign friends always call me G. That's fine.
Gotcha. Yeah, so one of my best friends growing up, he was Guillermo also, and he was just Guille. That's what we called him. Just Guille. It was just
there
Guille.
You go. Same.
There we go, man. All right, so let's hear it. How did you get into Bitcoin mining?
Right. So about 5 years ago, 4 or 5 years ago, I moved to the Middle East, to Kuwait. Really because my fiance is from there, and she decided that for her career was a good move, temporary, to go to Kuwait. I followed her, and I was working in finance there. I was working for a UK brokerage, a UK finance consultancy called The View, pretty famous. And I started getting into crypto about around that time, right? Especially on the investment side, trading side, right? So I started learning about crypto. I started learning about Bitcoin, how things work in that industry, and obviously I started learning about mining, right? And I learned that one of the biggest constraints about having a successful mining endeavor was electricity prices. So it happens that Kuwait has one of the cheapest electricity prices in the world. I think right after Venezuela. I think it's the second cheapest, has the second cheapest electricity rates in the world. So that's kind of how it started. I had some friends. We decided to put some money together. We started mining for ourselves. We started having like a very small operation of our own miners, between 20 and 50 miners. We were doing at home, whatever. And we thought, well, we can make a business out of it. So then we started trying to turn our personal operation into a business, hosting for other people, trying to bring attention from people in Europe or other countries that this was not possible because of the expensive prices of electricity, and bring them into Kuwait. Now, we tried for, I'd say, a good couple of years to make it successful, but for the reasons that we will discuss in a moment, we realized that mining in the Middle East, and in our case, particularly Kuwait, was an almost impossible endeavor. Like at the moment that you want to scale up a little bit, not even just a little bit, you started finding like blocking points that we couldn't overcome, and honestly, not many people could overcome. So after that, we decided to move into Kazakhstan because we didn't want to stop this activity. So we moved into Kazakhstan. Back in the day, it was not as big as it is today. I think today now is massive for crypto miners, which I think is raising the prices there as well.
Yeah.
So we continue our activity there for another couple of years. And now after the last halving, we stopped operations. We dismantled everything because we had all the equipment for the last 4 years and so on. And now we wanted to start fresh, and we're looking to Paraguay for that.
Okay, so backing up to Kuwait, I want to talk about why it's difficult to mine there. I would imagine that it'd be really challenging to get Europeans to invest there. I mean, did you find that to be a bottleneck with regards to like getting Europeans to put money into mining in the Middle East?
No, I don't think that was a big blocking point. I think every industry is different, right? In case of cryptocurrency mining, in this case, Bitcoin mining, if the price is right, you don't really have a problem. And at the same time, at the beginning, we have few clients that they even came to Kuwait We show them what we have. We show them what we're planning to have our operation. We told them our options and so on. So when you bring big money, it could be challenging, but the truth is that at the moment that you start bringing big money, it doesn't matter if you're in Kuwait or you're in Spain or you're in Germany. The people that are putting money, they are going to want to go to your facility and take everything by themselves.
Yes.
It doesn't matter the country, really. You can call it China, you can call it the US. They want to know where the money is going. So I don't think the fact that it was the Middle East was a blocking point. I think the major blocking points came internally from the country itself.
So what were those blocking points when it comes to the country itself?
Right. So we were a Kuwaiti-based company. My partners were Kuwaiti, so we were a local company. And I need to make a distinction here because in the Middle East, for foreign companies, it's way more difficult to succeed than for local companies. In the GCC, in the Gulf region, it's a part of the Middle East. It's Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Bahrain, Emirates, Kuwait, Oman, etc. Right? Many of these countries in the GCC, if you are a foreign company that wants to establish their branch or something, you need to find a local partner that will, by law, get part of your equity of your company in that location. So it's very hard for companies from outside to come into the country because automatically they are going to lose control of the company. They're going to lose the stake of the company, of the branch that they want to establish there. So the first distinction that I want to make is that for foreign companies, this is way more difficult for this reason than for local companies. Now, for local companies, all right, so the biggest blocking point here, in my opinion, is regulations. Regulations in the Middle East, particularly in the city in Kuwait, make it a riskier endeavor, all right? Regulations are on the gray area. That means that there are no specific regulations. The law does not regulate in favor or against, all right? So in that regard, you can do this activity without the risk of, going beyond the law or anything.
Yeah.
However, because it's in the gray area, you can get your miners confiscated, for example. We learned after 1 or 2 years, we learned that because we had some context on customs, right? We learned that the government was not regulating against crypto and crypto mining, but they had orders in customs to take custody of miners that came into the country. So for big batches of miners, like let's say 10 units, 20 units, 50 units, for bulks of miners, the officials in customs had orders to confiscate that equipment. So that made it very difficult for us, or for anyone really in Kuwait, to have a bigger operation, because that meant that you had to import equipment in a small batches of 2 miners or 3 miners, right? And it could take a long time to build that up to scale up. Now, I want to say that the Middle East, the oil of the Middle East are favors, right? No pun intended. Like the Middle East runs on favors. So if you know the right person in the right place, everything is going to be easier for you.
Sure.
But nevertheless, even with all the friends that you need, this will still be a high risk endeavor. Now, so that's the first blocking point. The fact that you are going to have a lot of problems importing the miners inside the country.
Okay.
The second blocking point comes with the size of the operation, right? So again, if you want to have, like, let's say you are just an individual that wants a couple of miners running in his house or whatever, you're going to be fine because you're going to have the power and you are likely not going to have problems in customs. So
Sure.
You're good. But at the moment that you want to have 20, 50, 30, and you start increasing the demand of power, now you're going to run into serious problems. In Kuwait, the industrial areas, let's say your average industrial building, warehouse, they usually come on average with 500 kilowatts of power, right?
Yeah.
That's your maximum capacity for a warehouse and so on. Now, if you want to increase that, you're going to have to request to the government to increase that. Now, there are factories and there are industries that obviously consume much more energy, and obviously those are an exception. But for a regular business that just operates with a logistics center or whatever, you're not going to get a lot of power. At the moment that you start reaching 1 megawatt,
yeah,
all the alarms go off.
Right.
All the alarms go off for the government. Now, you're going to get all the attention of the officials because they're going to start asking you, why do you need an amount of power? Can you justify the amount of power? You will get your officials to inspect your place. They will double check, why are you consuming all the power? And now, again, because you are not supposed to be able to import this equipment, at the moment, you cannot really disclose why did you need this amount of power. So they are going to say, well, you're not supposed to be doing this with this amount of power. Like, we're going to take this and we're not going to give you the power. And that is very, very hard to overcome because there are two things here. First, it's not easy to get that amount of power, all right? And second of all, you're going to be on the radar. So even if you get the power because you know the right person or whatever, you're going to be in the radar and you can get an inspection anytime.
And then once you're inspected, you're obviously running machines that aren't supposed to be imported in the first place, so you're open to all kinds of other risks. So
exactly, okay. Nobody's gonna take you to court. Nobody's gonna do anything. But obviously, your whole thing is done. Like you're done. Your whole endeavor is finished. And obviously, bearing in mind the time that it takes to recover the investment that goes into this.
Yeah, it's a lot of risk.
That would be very unfortunate. And then the third blocking point, which is not minor, but I guess it's something that everybody faces in this industry, is the weather conditions. Kuwait can reach up to, man, I don't wanna be exaggerating here, but like I would say they can be close to 60 degrees, like from peaking in the summer. I don't know.
Well, by the way, for anyone listening in America, that's 60 degrees Celsius. So.
Oh yeah. Well,
you're talking
man,
like.
I don't know. I can't do Fahrenheit.
So I think that's like. Honestly, that's like 140 Fahrenheit. It's hot. I mean, it's like you don't want to be outside ever in your life at that temperature.
It's beyond living conditions for any organism. Like really, I believe Kuwait was labeled last year, or I don't know if it was this summer, had one of the hottest states in the world, like the hottest all over the world. So it's harsh. It's harsh weather, and also you have the dust storm, which is obviously like if you have a facility that is not very well isolated and you have problems with the dust, that's going to kill your miners. Maybe not immediately, but over time, it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough to run your machine for over 2 years. They're going to die before that.
So Guillermo, I mean, okay, so let's take into account the difficulty importing machines, the impossibility of scaling up power and risking all of your equipment being confiscated, the 140 degree temperatures and the dust storms. Clearly, Kuwait is not a favorable place to mine Bitcoin.
It's not a favorable place to mine, but like it isn't. Don't get me wrong. When we started, because we had such a small operation, it was great because, again, back in the day, the prices for electricity, because the thing is that I believe now the prices have raised and now it's far from ideal. But 4 years ago, prices in industrial areas for electricity, I think it was in the neighborhood of 1.5 cents.
Wow.
Of US dollar per kilowatt hour. That is unprecedented. That is fantastic for this activity. And when we started, one of the things that we tried for over a year to find a way to make this happen in Kuwait in a feasible way, right? In a profitable, feasible way. One of the things that we were looking into, because I have seen many facilities there of other miners, is to find an underground place, right? There are underground warehouses, there are underground facilities that you can actually take, and then you don't have problems with dust, you don't have problems with heat, you don't need such an intense cooling system. They are secretive, like they're very private. Those are the places where this activity actually can work there. And I have seen these type of operations in Kuwait, because there are operations in Kuwait there is just very, very difficult to find these places. Very, very difficult.
Yeah, I mean, okay, so anytime you're operating against a government, right? It's a challenge. Kuwait's very small, right? So Kuwait is not a very big place. So there's just a lot of risk to take on, considering, and the power prices are cheap, right? It's just that's a ton of risk, to take
It is.
on. And I don't know, maybe it's just the American in me, and I've seen all of the movies, and I've seen how people are punished in that area of the world. If there's an area where I would not want to be on the other side of the law, it's the Middle East, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. I have to say, I've lived in Kuwait for several years, and it's not like in the movies. It's a place. It's fine. You can live there. There is no risk. There are normal people there, right? And
Sure.
the government is not gonna do crazy things to you or anything like that. And I have to say, I've been out of Kuwait for 2 years now, for a year and a half now. There are people doing great efforts in the country to push regulations in this industry. Mining, it's probably on the tail of this process, but in terms of exchanges and trading and purchasing, there are more regulations, and it's fine. You can purchase cryptocurrencies. There are some local exchanges. Even the government is creating its own cryptocurrency, like a state-owned cryptocurrency. So again, it's a very, very slow process, and I would say in the Middle East everything goes like 10 times slower than the rest of the world. But there is progress in the right direction.
Yeah.
It's just too slow for us, and difficult.
Yeah. So then you moved to Kazakhstan, right? You guys,
right.
You moved to Kazakhstan.
Yeah.
So how were you? Eastern Kazakhstan, close to China, tapping into the coal power that's over there?
Yes, we actually had we established some relationships with some local providers there, right? We were bringing clients and our miners. We had a special relationship, a commercial relationship there. I believe we had 2 operations into very different parts of Kazakhstan. The thing is that right now the geography is kind of blurring in my mind. But we started first on the north of Kazakhstan towards the border with Russia, all right, on the area of Pavlodar and so on.
Yep.
And then a second operation on a later stage on the south of Kazakhstan, which I cannot give you any name of reference because I won't even dare to pronounce any of them. But we had to. We were in the north, and we also were in the south, and we were very happy with our partners there. Like Kazakhstan. I don't know about the experience of other people, but our personal experience in Kazakhstan was very good. The prices that we obtained there in Kazakhstan were between 3.5 and 5.5 cents.
Yeah.
Right. I know that it's a huge gap, but it was different depending on the location because a lot of negotiations with the power providers and so on.
For that, just a question for you. So when you're seeing a range like that, I would assume that there's also a higher level of service on the 5.5 side than there is on the 3.5 side. Like
that's a tough question. Well, that's what you would expect, right?
Yeah.
That's what you would expect,
added value,
right?
For the extra cost.
Yeah, exactly. You're paying a premium. Well, the answer to that question is that in our experience, not really. Like in our experience, the increment in price didn't always come with a more favorable conditions or like better service or anything like that. I have to say, no complaints for anything that we've had. Like our experience has always been great, but the service was always just okay. It was just good. Like our miners were always safe. They ran how they should. They were never off for longer than 24 hours. Like we got a great service, but the facilities were not like tier 3 data centers, like you can find in the US or like in Russia or something like that. They were not premium data centers or anything like that. They were literally warehouses or big industrial areas where they had good electricity prices, and they would just stack all the miners there and they would control them. Like it was very. I think the best word I would describe it is homemade. Even though there were companies doing this hosting, it felt very homemade. It
Very
ran as
nice
it
of you.
should. They didn't give you anything fancy, and they were telling you, listen, this is the price of electricity we can get. This is what we're gonna get for the hosting. The rest is for you. And fair enough. We were very happy with our local partners in Kazakhstan. I'm sure the bigger you are, because the thing is that we were a very small company. We never managed more than 10 megawatts of miners at all. Right, we were far from that number. We were on the few megawatts side. So I understand. It's my understanding that the bigger you are, the bigger of a player you are in this industry, the better conditions you're gonna get. Right? It happens all the time. It doesn't matter if it's crypto or it's any other industry. So in our case, it was really hard to get really premium special conditions, right? Which is precisely what we're not trying now in Paraguay, right? But it was tough. But Kazakhstan, again, good place. But I have seen over the last year that prices are increasing in Kazakhstan, and I want to think is because it has become such an attractive destination for miners all over the world that the market is starting to get very saturated. Like, I know the biggest players in the world have operations in Kazakhstan. I know that the energy consumption dedicated to mining it has increased, I don't know, but like crazy amounts in the last 2 years. And I don't know. I fear that maybe at some point the government of Kazakhstan, they're going to start having like problems supplying the amount of energy that requires for crypto mining. Like, now you see in the news that Mongolia has regulated against cryptocurrency miners. So now a bunch of big players are getting their feet out of Mongolia. Then you have the news in China, which is, well, for the past 3 years, it's like very confusing, because some news tells you that China is banning cryptocurrencies. Then on the other hand, you see these big companies opening new operations in China. It's very confusing. So you can only assume that there is something shady going on there for the companies that are still established there. But the point is when a country reaches a certain capacity in terms of energy consumption for crypto mining, things start getting a little shaky for miners, because regulations might mean that they will give you higher taxes, which was a rumor not long ago in Kazakhstan, that they were increasing taxes. In a country, in a neighbor country of Kazakhstan, I think it was Kyrgyzstan, they are actually increasing taxes for cryptocurrency miners. So what is what I'm trying to say? What I'm trying to say is that Kazakhstan, when we went there a few years ago, it was a great place where everybody was excited to have a branch there and to do something there. Now I have the feeling that it's getting oversaturated, and I fear what the consequences of that may be for cryptocurrency miners. And that's also one of the reasons we are not making huge efforts to start fresh in Kazakhstan again, because first of all, we know that we are not going to get prices below 3.5. All right, we're probably going to get something from 4 cents in advance, and that's not ideal for us. And second of all, even if that price allows us to be profitable, it will always be in that red line where you just keep your fingers crossed that the price of Bitcoin doesn't go too low, right? So you take all these things into consideration, and it is not as attractive. It's not as attractive anymore as it used to be for small companies like ours, or like investors that have like a budget for a couple of megawatts and so on.
Right.
So we're trying now to take all the places where it's a good idea to jump the trigger again and get a bit faster. And that's how we found in Paraguay a really great opportunity. And I think it's my belief that Paraguay is going to become, sooner rather than later, another cryptocurrency mining hub in the world, like, for sure.
Well, so I would agree with you there. I think that there's a ton of opportunity in South America that's yet to be exploited. We hear a lot about Venezuela, right? Because of the mining that goes on there and why people are mining there, I think, is the bigger story, the amount of oppression and inflation with their local currency.
And not many people talk about it.
Right. And, that is, that is what it is, right? I think that, we're going we're going to see more mining go to South America, and it's exciting that you guys are looking at Paraguay. There's a lot of hydro down there. There's a lot of great opportunities. So why are you guys focusing in on Paraguay specifically? And how? I mean, I guess it's a different kind of climate, but what are some of the challenges that you are facing down there?
Right. So, starting for the reasons that we were looking into Paraguay, we were looking into, obviously, when as a crypto mining company or as a miner, the first thing that you're looking into is prices of electricity. So that's always the first lead, right? Like Paraguay had reasonably cheap prices for electricity, right? In South America, it's one, I believe, of the cheapest, top 3, top 5 of the cheapest, right? And that put our eyes on the country. Now, after doing some digging precisely on the topic of electricity prices, and so we found out about the Dam of Itaipu. I don't know if you're familiar with that. I don't know if you know about it, but Itaipu is I believe, the second biggest hydro producer in the world, right after that big dam in China that I can't remember the name.
Three Gorges. Three Gorges.
That one. The Three Throats. That one. So that one is the biggest producer of hydro energy. This one, Itaipu, is the second biggest producer. It's not biggest. It's not the second biggest in size, but in production rate, right, over the years. Now, the story behind Itaipu is very interesting. So this is a dam made on a collaboration between the government of Paraguay and the government of Brazil, right? And this was done in the 70s. Okay, this was done a long time ago. Huge infrastructure, and this is done in one of the channels in the Amazons, right? So back in the day when they built this dam, Paraguay could not add to the project the same amount of money, the same budget as Brazil. It couldn't match it, right? So they kind of come into this agreement, right? They said, the government of Brazil said, all right, fine, I will chip in 80% of the budget that we need for this project because I am interested in this dam. Okay, I'm interested in the energy that this provides to my people. And it told the government of Paraguay, and you will just pay me a premium on the energy that you consume from the dam until you pay off the infrastructure, right? So that was the agreement, right? Brazil came with the money, and Paraguay was like, fine, you put the money, and I'll pay a premium for what we consume from this dam, right? Now, a debt was contracted by Paraguay, and by 2023, that debt will be paid off. After 50 years, this debt is finally going to be paid off. And wow. the contract that governs this dam is very interesting. I believe this applies for both governments, but I'm only certain about this for the government of Paraguay. The contract that governs this agreement between Paraguay and Brazil established that Paraguay could not use this dam for lucrative purposes. What I'm trying to say is that Paraguay could not use this energy and charge premium prices of electricity to their citizens just to make more money that will go on to the treasury of the country. They couldn't do that. And the agreement that established that they could not do that. This energy should be for the people. It should be, basically, the summary of what I'm trying to say is that the dam should work at operational cost.
Well, and I mean, I know, so for the listeners, obviously, and anyone who has never heard of this dam, Google it. It is enormous, and it sits at the mouth of the Parana River, right? Am I saying that correctly?
Yes.
Yeah, so the Parana River, and that runs right into Ciudad del Este, and I mean, it's massive. So, you know, you see Three Gorges Dam and all of the hydro that it provides for China. And, you know, I mean, people have comments on how it's constructed. And then if you look at the pictures of this dam, it's like night and day from the construction and how it's built and how it's structured and where it's set. And I think that, I mean, man, this must have been one of those finds for you where you're just like, when you see it, you're like, huh, and you jump all over it. I mean.
Yeah. So basically, as I was saying, the contract the government, the dam establishes that the dam should work at operational cost.
Yeah.
The dam should not, make extra money out of it, right? It's a government, and energy in Paraguay, and I believe in Brazil as well, it's managed by the government. It's a public institution. Hence, they are not there to make money. They are there to provide a service at the lowest cost possible for the people. So what happens now, right? So the debt that Paraguay contracted with Brazil added to the prices of electricity in Paraguay a surplus of 55%, right? So prices of electricity in Paraguay are 55% more expensive than they should. Now, because that 55% of the tariff goes to Brazil, it goes to pay the debt. Now, in 2023, it's been studied that the debt will finally be paid off, and since the dam has to run on operational cost, what do you think is going to happen? Well, that 55% extra on the tariff will disappear. So that means essentially that by 2023, 2024, there is going to be a reduction in prices in Paraguay of up to 55%. And now we are able to get, it's kind of complicated, but we are able to get 2.9 cents in Paraguay, like today in 2020. So if this happens in 2023, as everybody's expecting, then that means that we're going to get 1 point something, like on the neighborhood between 1.2 and 2 cents for electricity rates, which is crazy. It's going to be one of the cheapest, if not the cheapest, electricity rates in the world. And now we need to be careful with this, because this whole thing has been established in the 70s. And we know that in the last 50 years, nobody has touched that. Nobody has made any changes to any of this. And there has been different presidents in both countries. There has been tensions. There has been a whole lot of political issues over the last 50 years between in South America and between these two countries. But this contract has not been touched. So many people ask me, well, what do you think about the stability of the country? What do you think about the tensions that this will create? My answer to that is, well, we don't know, right? But all I can say is in the last 50 years, nothing has changed this. Why would it change in 2023? I would say both countries are eager to get this debt paid and be done with this whole thing. And another thing that is crazy is that the country of Paraguay doesn't utilize even like 30% of this energy. Like they have a surplus of energy. It's crazy. Like the biggest asset of Paraguay, the biggest asset of Paraguay is the energy that they have, because they don't use it. They don't have the capacity of using it fully, not even close. And now there is a lot of conversation on they want to re-industrialize Paraguay by attracting industries that utilize a lot of energy. We are talking about data centers. We are talking about factories for ion lithium batteries. We are talking about all these aluminum factories, like all these industries that consume and need and require a lot of energy, and they want to industrialize the country again. Like we're talking about a new industrialization of the country, and we want to be part of that.
Well, and that's it's a great point that you make, because when it comes to, most of the time when crypto mining comes into an area, it's because cheap power has been left by industries who are no longer viable in an area, right? Like Kazakhstan or Russia, with a lot of their old manufacturing plants that moved away for cheaper prices elsewhere. Yeah, so it leaves that gap, right? It leaves power in its wake that then needs to be consumed. So this is very refreshing. And Paraguay and Uruguay both, and really Southern South America, there's a much higher level of governmental stability as well, which I think is something that most people don't understand. Like you're not battling the same kind of government issues that you would face in Venezuela, or to a lesser extent in some other of the northern South American countries.
Absolutely. I think now, like turning into the challenges now, and talking and diving a little bit into the challenges of doing business in South America. Usually, the first big challenge in South America is the government. It's the corruption of the countries. Is how safe are you on doing business there, right? And South America is very it's very diverse in this regard, because there are parts of South America where, well, you can't even do anything with any certainty of security or safety, right? And there are other countries where, yeah, you're kind of fine doing whatever you want, right? Paraguay is on the safest side, right? Like, it's not Venezuela. In Venezuela, for example, everything is very controlled by the government, and the corruption that you see there, it's a thing, right? Paraguay would be on the other side of the spectrum. Paraguay is a place where, nevertheless, like, you need context there. You need a local partner that can do this activity with you. You cannot do this by yourself, because you need someone that knows the people there, that knows the law, that knows how the legal system works, that knows everything, how politics work, everything, right? So you need a partner there. You cannot do this by yourself, but with the right partner, Paraguay is a safe place. I would say Paraguay, Argentina, some parts of Brazil, Peru, Chile, maybe 5 years ago. I don't know about that now anymore. But so in terms of the government, I would say Paraguay, it's on the bright side of opportunities. And they are one, I think they are the fastest, no, not the fastest. They are one of the highest growing economies of South America in the past 10 years. I think the fastest growing economy in South America was Brazil for the last 20 years, and I think the runner-up is Paraguay, I believe. Don't quote me on that, but I believe that is the case. So yeah, great opportunity for Paraguay. I think Paraguay has ahead a very interesting journey, where they are going to bring big companies. They're gonna have a gigafactory from Tesla or something like that. I quote me on that, because I'm sure they will try to get this kind of agreement. They're gonna sell surplus of energy to the neighborhood countries like Argentina or Uruguay or something, and they are gonna bring lots of miners like us. And now we, because we've been working in going to Paraguay for well, ever since the Corona, really, for the last year.
Okay.
And we have finally secured a purchase agreement of a parcel of land, massive parcel of land, like 50,000 square meters. And the beauty of this land, of this parcel, is that it's 10 kilometers away from Itaipu Dam. So it's just next to the dam. We get the hydro energy, and we have our own substation, which I think it can provide us up to 70 or 60 megawatts, and we get 2.9 cents of electricity. So we have a great project coming up in Paraguay, but it's too much of a big project for us to take alone. So now for the last month, we've been in talks with different hedge funds and private investors and other big mining companies, trying to see if we can find the right partner to come with us. And now, obviously, we're doing rounds. We're having conversation with many people. There's a lot of interest, but it's still work in progress. But we have a great opportunity, and Paraguay is definitely going to be the next crypto mining hub in the world.
So how is it with getting machines down there? Like, is there, because in the United States, obviously we face a pretty hefty tariff. In Kazakhstan, there are, tariffs associated, but there's less of a travel time because you're right next door. What's it look like in Paraguay?
So regulations in Paraguay are favorable. Towards the end of 2018, there was established a framework of regulation for cryptocurrency and cryptocurrency mining, right? So what this means is that they have a set of guidelines that they are going to use to regulate, but it's not done yet. They're just regulating now. But it's favorable, and you can get licenses to import this type of equipment. So in terms of customs, you don't have a problem with that. Now, the only issue with Paraguay in terms of importing machines is the cost involved. Customs in Paraguay, not just for this type of equipment, but for any type of product, right, are huge. The cost involved are really big, and they are, well, I don't want to make that up, but they are huge. They are more than your average import cost in Europe, for example. Now, there is a catch here. If you are an external investor, right? If you're a foreign company that is bringing big money to the country gives you certain how you call it, like it helps you to develop your business. So if you're a company that is coming to make an investment in the country of from $1 million or something like that, $1 or $2 million, then you're starting to get a lot of benefits. For example, you're going to get a special services in customs. You're going to get a reduction in cost of customs. They're going to help you to clear customs faster. They're going to give you some sort of priority compared to other industries. And the reason again is because they are looking to industrialize the country. So they want to attract big investors and big clients, and they are not that concerned about. They are more concerned about the fact that you bring money to the country, that you purchase land, and that you use that land, to build a business, a sustainable business that will ultimately, hire locals to work with you and so on. They're focused on that. They don't care about giving you cheap electricity. Quite the opposite. They are going to use that for you to come, right? And then if you're bringing big money, they're going to say, just please come. I will open the door for you, and I will make things easy for you so you can establish here and just, have a long relationship with us. So again, customs, they are fine. The only problem might be cost, but if you come with big money, cost will be reduced. So that's great.
This is all very fascinating to me. I'm excited to see you guys get up and running down there. When do you think that first machines will be deployed and you guys will start hashing?
That's a $1 million question, right? I want to be optimistic. And maybe by January we could have something there. The thing is that we haven't decided the partners that we want with us in this project. Like we're still in talks with different companies, and we haven't made a decision because it's a big decision. We want a relationship that makes sense for us and obviously for the other partner, right? We haven't made a decision. Every day we have a new conversation with a new company, and we're still trying to decide who's going to come with us. Now, I would like to think that in the following 2 months, we're going to be done with this. We're going to put the money, we're going to start building, and I guess it will take a couple of months to build. So I'm looking into January 2021 to start operating something in Paraguay. I want to be optimistic. I'm not too concerned either because I think this whole thing about 2023 that I comment on the debt and the reduction in price, this is at the end of the day speculation, right? So in the following, I mean, it's kind of like a bet, right? There is a lot of potential benefits, and there is the risk that doesn't happen for any reason being, right? Nothing bad has happened to this agreement in the last 50 years, but even though that's a good proof that nothing is going to happen in the next 3, it's not guaranteed, right? So something that prevents, I believe, many companies from just jumping to Paraguay is that, okay, this 2023 deal is fine, but I'm going to wait a little bit to see how it unfolds, because the big companies right now, they're getting really good prices in other countries where they're very well established. So why risking it, right? So the big companies are not jumping yet in Paraguay because of this reason, because I think they're being cautious, which makes sense, right? And the small companies that might want to establish there after, hearing this podcast with me, they are not going to be a threat at all for us, right? So we have 3 years where I don't think competition is going to be harsh in Paraguay. So we are kind of safe in that regard. And also in terms of mining hardware, like if we've like not long ago, we looked into the development of mining hardware over the last 4 years, 5 years, right? And you see, when you look at the graph of the efficiency change in mining hardware, you see that the curve is very steep, towards like 4 years ago. So the improvements made with each iteration were huge, but every year the efficiency improvements are not that big, right?
Right.
So it's our understanding that, for example, with the S19 Pros, we have with these miners a good 2-3 years of of just like sustainable business with this equipment. We don't see massive improvements on cryptocurrency mining. And again, this was one of the reasons we liquidated our previous operations, and we called it a fresh start, because I think for people starting with S19 Pros, I think they're not going to have the problems that we originally had with the S9s. That was that every 6 months you kind of gotta, buy some new efficiency miners, because you couldn't just trust the S9 were going to be the what will give you a sustainable business, right? I think that's not going to happen with the S19. I think if you buy a S19 Pro today and you have a reasonable cheap electricity rate, I think you can have a sustainable business with this miner for the next 3-4 years. Even if there are new iterations that increase efficiency just a little bit, I don't think the gap is going to be big enough for that to be a problem at all. So yeah, we kind of see like a whole new chapter ahead for cryptocurrency mining.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that there's obviously a lot of exciting things that are upcoming, and what you guys have going right now, and it's so cool to see, right? You are, the world traveler when it comes to Bitcoin mining in the Middle East, mining in Kazakhstan, and now, finding such an awesome opportunity in Paraguay and getting a firm foundation built there that you can continue to scale off of. Man, I wish you all the best in this. I think it's going to be fantastic. Before we wrap things up, though, I want to make sure that you let everyone know where they can find you. Like, if someone's interested or if they want to get in touch with you in some way, what's the best way for them to get in contact?
I'm very active in LinkedIn, so if anyone wants to reach out to me directly, they can find me on my LinkedIn profile. My name is Guillermo Ruiz. I don't know if you can just put somewhere on the video that, because
absolutely,
maybe people will be able to spell that out. And they can always visit our website, hivemining.com. Hivekuwait.com, sorry. We use that as a portal, like an introductory portal. We accept some, we have like an email inbox. You can always reach out to us there. But the best way to contact me is LinkedIn. I'm very active there. I'm always on it. I use it more than Twitter, man.
That you might look. It's some people love it, some people don't like it. Some people prefer Twitter. Some people prefer Telegram. I mean, there's so many different ways that we can communicate in crypto. But I'll make sure that your info on LinkedIn or for LinkedIn is in the show's notes. But Guillermo, man, thank you for coming on the show, and we'll have to make sure.
Thanks for having me. It was great.
Dude, we'll have to do it again. We'll have to do it in 6 months time and get an update on where you guys are at. I'm excited.
Actually, I'm also excited to see. I think one of the things that we want to make sure that we do as soon as we are established in Paraguay is actually starting collaborating with you guys, because you guys have a very interesting business model right now, and I think we both can benefit each other a lot from these new endeavors. I'm very excited about that.
Yes, I'm excited for that as well. We'll be making some announcements on that endeavor publicly here in the next few weeks. Yeah, Thomas coming over from F2 was a big part of the push to finish production there, and he's going to be heading up that project, which I know is how you two talked, and we all got tied in.
That is super exciting, because when Thomas was telling me about it, I thought, yeah, if I only had this type of service when we started, because one thing that we have noticed a lot over the past years is that for a mining company, it's very tough to get clients, to get very small clients. Like, it's a lot of hustling to get just a client that has 3 miners, and then another client that has 2 miners, another client that has like 5 miners. Like, you don't want to have 3,000 clients with 1 miner each. That is a headache. But you guys are putting together a very nice business model, and I think a lot of mining companies are going to benefit from that.
We are hopeful. We're hopeful. I mean, ultimately our goal, and it says this on our website, but we want to do our best to support Bitcoin and decentralize the hash rate as much as possible, while allowing businesses like yours and other businesses around the world to thrive. I mean, Bitcoin is the future, right? And the only way that the future can really take hold is if everyone can participate. Like, you can't have a future only for elitists. It needs to be available to everyone. And I mean, like myself included, man, like I'm not a millionaire, right? If I want to mine Bitcoin, like it's really tough. It's really, really tough. So, it needs to be accessible to everyone. And I know that there's cloud mining and there's all kinds of these other things that are out there. We just don't see those as viable. Some people make money off them. Good for them. But we just, I'm excited when we start making these announcements. I think it'll make a lot of sense to people. And I know right now it's a bit vague.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. I think the model allows another. I don't know. I think it opens the doors to more benefits. Like when you can bundle small miners together and you can put them in a facility, or with a company like ours, for example, in Paraguay or whatever, they're going to start getting some benefits that otherwise they wouldn't get. Like, for example, maybe discount on mining pools, because, mining pools, if you have certain hash rate, they will give you better fees, right? Like, I don't know, like at the moment that, like, collective effort gives you benefits that otherwise you wouldn't get. And that's
economies
the beauty, I think, of what you're trying.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Exactly.
It's all economies of scale, right? Like larger facilities are able to get better prices because there's more machines, right? Little guys are not able to get in those facilities because there's not enough machines. So it's finding a way to marry those two that I think we're most excited about. And we are officially now, let's say 21 days away from launch. We may pull the trigger a bit sooner, but we went through.
Exciting.
We're going through the final paces now. But thank you for the kind words there, Guillermo, and we'll chat again soon for sure.
Absolutely. Well, thank you very much for having me, and yeah, excited to talk to you soon about new business collaborations opportunities.
There we go. And to the listeners and viewers of the HASH8 podcast, thank you guys for listening and watching the show. Make sure that you are subscribed to the YouTube channel and you turn on notifications so you're made aware whenever we put out new content. And if you are listening to the podcast, leave us a rating and review on your preferred listening platform and help grow the show's exposure. Thank you guys for your continued support. But for myself and Guillermo here at HASH8, we'll talk to you guys all again very soon. Thanks for watching this episode of HASH8 Podcast, a HASH8 TV production. If you enjoyed this video, please consider liking, sharing, and subscribing for more great content like this every day of the week. In addition, feel free to leave a comment below and let us know who you'd like to see on the next episode of HASH8 Podcast. We'd love to hear from you. Also, if you head over to hash8.com, you can sign up for our free weekly newsletter, Difficulty Adjustment. Every Wednesday morning, we provide you with the latest news and information on Bitcoin, cryptocurrency, and mining. Plus, each week, one newsletter subscriber will be selected at random to receive a free Ledger Nano S cryptocurrency wallet. So go ahead and sign up today. Who knows? You may be the next lucky winner. Want more from HASH8? Follow HASH8 TV on Twitter. It's the easiest way to keep track of our newest content all in one place. That's at HASHR8_TV. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you very soon. Please remember that all content appearing on this or any other HASH8 channel is strictly for informational and entertainment purposes only. You should not construe any such information as legal, tax, investment, financial, or other advice. Consult a licensed financial advisor before investing yours or anyone else's money.